This video is only one part of an in-depth review, so check out the rest at thegoodride.com. Thanks for watching. Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and I've been carefully carving and optimistically hauling since 2010 full-time and a little longer part-time. This is the Nitro Highlander. It's seen better days, but I compared it against the Nitro Quiver Fusion and Dropout. Got some decent late spring days with this guy. Rode this with my Burton Kendo and Union Atlas. And to give you a short summary, this is a board with only a touch of taper, but still it has a pretty directional feel. It rides pretty centered on board and on side cut, and it's pretty much a full camber, aggressive, directional ride that sits a little more on the mid-wide side of things, and it has a really good appeal to those who like to carve, like to get air, and want a more technical, aggressive, pretty directional, but not too tapered ride. When it comes to sizing, I felt like my size 9 boots were not enough for this board, but my weight was. I think this is a little, I think a size 10 to an 11 boot for this 59 would be a much better fit than what I had. I'm curious about going a size down to see if my size 9 boots could power it a little better, but I'm just not sure if I'm really matched up well for this board. So take this review a little bit with a grain of salt because it's a size 9 perspective on a mid-wide. Now when it comes to the shape of this board, it's tapered directional, but it's only 1 mil of taper, so it feels much more just like a directional board with no taper. There wasn't any bit of that washy feel, and it felt more like an all mountain board that's just a little bit more on the directional side and leaning a little more on that free ride side of things. When it comes to the camber profile, there is a healthy bow of camber here. They call this true camber. It feels aggressive, technical, and locked in, kind of more of an expert mid-wide kind of ride. An advanced rider who wants to get on it could work with this too, but you really need to be on your game when you want to skid a turn. Now when it comes to the flex, again, take this with a grain of salt because this has been used a lot, and you can see it's got a lot more give than it should, but it should be more like, out of the wrapper, it should be more like this Quiver Fusion, and you can see it's got a lot less give than the Highlander, and they have a similar flex on Nitro's rating system. So go more with the Quiver Fusion than the Highlander's flex, and that's probably what you'll get out of the box. Now when it came to buttering, I still had a little bit of trouble getting this to butter. It's not a super easy buttery board, but the ollie power was there. It really pops, but you gotta give a lot to get a lot back. I thought the softer flex would be easier to access, but it was a little more work than I thought. Now when it comes to speed, there's good base glide. It's a damp, fast board. It likes to point it, and you can really get some decent mountain speed with this. Now, when it comes to uneven terrain, again, this was a hard board for me to manage because my little size 9s were on a big board. But you could see that with the right boot size, this could be a good all-day ride. And sometimes when you look at the marketing material of a board like this, you think, oh no, this is gonna be really chattery in certain micro bumpy, harder conditions. And I didn't experience that. I felt like it was a pretty decent all-day ride. Although again, I've got a much softer flex than probably what you'll get. So take this with a grain of salt. Could be a little cranky in certain snow, but I didn't experience that. Now when it comes to edge hold, I felt like this held a good edge in the few hard patches I experienced. And overall, I think it's a pretty good all conditions ride. But I would say if you see a lot of harder or icier snow, there are better boards out there with more disruption in the side cut instead of this multi-radius side cut that'll grip harder. But this does not grab at all in softer snow, and that's a good thing. Now when it comes to turn initiation, again, here I am, size 9 boots on like a 26 waist with a nose and tail that's well over 30 centimeters. That's pretty wide for my boot size, and I felt like even though this side cut radius is much more friendly for turning, this width prohibited me from really getting that turning experience that it probably could give you. But overall, I think if you're the right size boot, you're gonna have a pretty good turning experience, and all this camber just really pops and drives out of a turn well. It's a drivey, poppy, lively, energetic turner. Now, when it comes to powder, there isn't that much setback on board. It's kind of in that all mountain range. There's not a ton of directional float here, but decent enough. It's full camber though, so there's not a lot of taper. You're gonna have to rely on a little more back foot weight than you would other boards with a little bit of early rise in the nose or tail or both. Now, when it comes to switch riding, I thought this was a pretty competent switch rider, and it's not amazing, but it's very doable. And I think if you're kind of like lean a little bit more on the directional side, but you like to throw it around and ride switch, this could work for you. I think this would be good hitting kickers in the park. It's not like a perfect true twin park spinner, but it's good for directional air throughout the mountain, and I think a really good, competent rider who loves to get big air would have a lot of fun with this. Now, overall, again, this board just wasn't a good match for my specs. Sometimes I get on boards like this and I just have an amazing time. This time I had a pretty good time. I had fun turning it and such, but I didn't feel like I was accessing this board's personality because my specs weren't allowed to access it that well. But overall, I think it's a pretty fun, aggressive, technical, directional, all mountain kind of ride. All our reviews are a best effort, objective opinion from an average rider's perspective. There's no brand oversight, and we're free to say whatever we want. We send back everything unless it's a favorite. Then we ask to keep those or straight up buy them. Now, if you need advice, fill out the eHarmony profile in the Contact Us section of the site. It's the only way I can help you properly. If you want to support us, and if what we reviewed appeals to you, it helps if you buy through our links. So, thanks for watching.